Good evening, everyone. My name is David Freese. I'm the mayor of Tonganoxie. I'm calling to order this March 6th, 2023 regular meeting of the Tonganoxie City Council. Ms. Huntington, would you note that I'm present and call the roll, please?
Thanks, Mayor. Mr. Partridge?
Here.
Ms. McCutcheon?
Here.
Ms. Stevens is absent. Mr. Donnelly?
Here.
And Mr. Dale is absent.
Okay. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of minutes, or we go over the minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any conversation or concerns about the minutes? Hearing none, I'd to entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Ms. McCutcheon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 3 is the consent agenda where we review bill payments from the previous period. Is there any conversation or concerns about the bill payments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve is presented.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Is there a second?
I'll second, sorry.
No, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Porter, we're at the old business portion of the agenda when we allow people to speak if they signed up by the deadline. Do we have anybody to tonight?
Mayor, we have no signups, but I would like to introduce Wyatt Millsap with the Boy Scouts. He's attending the meeting tonight with his mom, I believe, and he's just excited to be here, and I wanted to mention that he was here and in attendance as part of his requirements.
Well, welcome, Wyatt. Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Moving on to new business, we'll move on to item A, consider approval of purchase of I can't say this word, telemetry equipment for the business park water tower. Mr. Porter?
Oh, actually, Mayor, I'll make a couple of quick introductory comments about it and then turn it over to Mr. Porter to go through what's in the agenda packet. So for those folks that may not be familiar with what telemetry is for the water tower and water plant, it's the communication modules between the towers. So the way the towers work is there's certain elevation of water inside the tank, and so that's how they communicate if one's short and needs to move. It's also communication from the towers then back to the water plant. What we're proposing to purchase tonight is some equipment for the new elevated water tower out at the business park. And why we carve this out from the rest of the water tower project is because of some of the funding, the grant that we have involved. It would have been a low bid type operation, but we wanted the flexibility to select the same equipment manufacturer that we already have on our other 2 water towers and the equipment at the water plant for efficiency's sake. As a side note, BG had delivered a proposal to do a systems upgrade. The technology we incorporate is older, and so you can go to an upgraded system, but there's a price tag associated with that. We asked the manufacturer to come in and verify that even though it's older technology, it's not outdated, it's not going to be unsupported anywhere in the near future, even distant future. And so we feel comfortable adding that equipment to the new tower, as well as some of the SCADA equipment upgrades that will be required at the water plant. We'll make some additional purchases once this new water tower is online for some equipment upgrade that's going to have to happen at the water tower at the school campus, because it's not going to be the last water tower on the line anymore. It'll be the new tower. But I believe the equipment we're looking to purchase today is related to the new water tower itself. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Porter to walk through some of the details, unless you have any questions about what I just went over. No? Okay. Dan?
So the project is funded from the Water Capital Fund. That fund maintains over $500,000 in funds on hand at this point as of our last monthly closing of financials. And we do anticipate that, like George mentioned, there's a few smaller purchases to complete the project as a whole, but this is the largest initiative to get that new tower speaking or communicating back with the water plant. So happy to take any questions you might have, but don't foresee any issues with this purchase as presented.
Okay, council, do you have any questions?
George, on the, I mean, understand the comment's a little bit older, understand that and the purpose and why we would do that. Do they give you a feeling that, I mean, we're gonna get 10 years out of it, or, I mean, the technology changes, get a gut feel for that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly kind of the line of questioning we had for them, and they didn't envision it being out of service within 10 years or beyond. Like, it's just older technology, but it still works,
Right.
and it's dependable, and our system isn't overly complicated anyway. We did ask BG, even though they had recommended the systems upgrade, to review this as well as the city engineers, and they were comfortable with the proposal.
Thank you.
Is there can you share the cost that BG supplied to us?
Sure. I think to do the complete systems upgrade, which included all new SCADA system at the plant, we were in the north of $450,000. I believe it was about $480,000. This option, and all the credit here goes to Kent Heskett for researching it and getting with the manufacturer. This equipment purchase tonight is under $30,000. We think the elevation switch that we'll have to do, or altitude valve that we'll have to do on the school water tower, is going to be probably in the $50,000 or less ballpark. So significant amount of savings. And so kudos to Kent for that.
Cool.
Thanks, Mayor. I appreciate the chance to throw those kudos out. It was well worth the time and effort to research it.
Any further questions? Any conversation?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to authorize staff to purchase water tower telemetry equipment from Durkin for an amount not to exceed $27,834.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item B is consider approval of purchase of water booster system equipment. Mr. Brakovich.
Yep, I think we'll handle it in tandem like we did the first item, Mayor. So this is an item that we talked about as we developed the budget last summer for this year. And this is the water booster pump station for Smiley Road. We are in the beginning stages of easement acquisition. However, regardless of where this piece of equipment goes, it's not going to change the technical specifications. And so why we're recommending to go ahead and buy that now, even before we've secured the easement, is because we're going with one manufacturer again to kind of stay in, I guess, in line with other equipment we have. There's just really long lead times on this equipment, 20 to 30 weeks. And so we're confident that by the time the equipment actually gets here and we have the budget authority to purchase it, we'll have the easement ready to go as well. And this is work, if you remember, that we're planning to self-perform, or city staff's going to do the actual installation of this. And so looking at our schedule with the variety of projects Public Works does in the summer, primarily the street maintenance work that we do, we're hoping all of this slots into that time frame to get the equipment here and get it installed. Be happy to answer any questions. Dan's got the specifics on the manufacturer and the costs associated with it.
Mr. Porter.
So the manufacturer proposed for the procurement is the Ray Lindsay Company. We currently maintain other pumps in our sewer lift stations in a standardized design format for future development in the city. We do recommend this as a sole source procurement. In the efforts to design the project, we did work with multiple vendors at an early stage and evaluated whether the pumps needed for this particular booster station would be feasible, and with the second vendor that was contacted early in the process, that was not the case. And so staff do feel comfortable recommending this particular package for consideration. When we included this in the CMIP and in the 2023 budget, we anticipated costs could rise north of $230,000. That was based on previous estimates developed many years ago, an inflation update that we did last summer for our budget projections, and frankly, a lot of uncertainty about pricing in the wake of COVID and shortfalls. And as George mentioned, we do anticipate 24 to 28 weeks lead time from tomorrow if this is approved. We were pleased though with the price as quoted, and Public Works staff will be able to complete the installation work and just some assistance needed for some of the electrical components that we can't do ourselves. So we're happy to recommend it for approval. Funding is allocated as planned in the budget in the Water Capital Fund, just like the last purchase that we considered. But happy to take any questions you might have.
Thanks, Mr. Porter. Any questions, council?
Well, this has been a problem for a long time. I can remember 10, 15 years ago, it was a problem. So, you think this will solve the low pressure issues in the subdivision plus up the old subdivision up Hatcher Road on both sides of the road, because that's still in town? And then along Smiley, it's gonna take care of all that?
Yeah, everything north of the eventual location along the Smiley Road corridor. Twin Cedar is another street with multiple houses at a high elevation.
That whole area, not just Twin Cedars?
Yep.
It's been a long time.
Any other questions? Any conversation? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to authorize staff to purchase HydroPack water booster system equipment from Precision Systems for an amount not to exceed $196,885.
Thanks, Ms. McCutcheon. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
We might ought to tell them folks right before we power it up that they need to be in there when we do.
Yeah, no kidding.
On low pressure for a long time. I lived out there and it was low pressure.
That's right. I just forgot you lived out there. Item C, consider approval of letter of support for Downtown Pocket Park grant application prepared by the Tonganoxie Arts Council. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. This item, you might recall, was brought forth as an idea and a proposal by Keita Kelly with the Tonganoxie Arts Council. On February 6th this year, she spoke to the City Council and delivered a short presentation about this proposal and the other programming that their group is pursuing this year. Ms. Kelly has prepared an in-depth application that was over 20 pages long in preparation for this submittal, and the submittal does take place between now and the next City Council meeting, so time is of the essence. But in short, the submittal is to request a little more than 50% cost share from the Kansas, I'm going to say this correctly, Kansas Creative Arts Industries Commission for a public art addition to the downtown Pocket Park along 4th Street at the intersection of 4th and Delaware. And in detail, this would entail installation of musical equipment or play devices on the existing sort of clamshell-shaped concrete stage, I think is how it was referred to when it was installed, near the corner of the vinyl fence and the old City Council facility wall. The way the funding in the proposed grant works is demonstrated in the agenda state or in the council packet attachment. The Arts Council would contribute just less than $3,600 cash match. The grant fund would fund just under $4,100 for the equipment, and then the city staff time valued for in-kind donation, with our public works crew being the intended installation team, is valued at $500 towards the project. So all in all, about an $8,000 project, and those respective parties each having input and skin in the game, I guess you'd say. One thing to point out about this proposed letter that's on the agenda is as the property owner of the downtown pocket park, the city does need to give permission for the installation and support for it. So the draft letter was intended to convey that support and the support of the city for the grant application, which again is submitted by the Tonganoxie Arts Council on the city's behalf. The instruments were shown in a short video, but they're intended to play audible sounds and be interactive, and that was referenced in the grant applications by Ms. Kelly as well as a big focus. When the pocket park already has murals on two sides and a focus on the visual arts, adding the audio arts or engagement with visitors was the focus of that effort. I don't have too many more details to share, but happy to take any questions you might have for us as city staff, and would request a motion to approve the letter of support as drafted, or with any edits that you all might see fit to include.
I might be naive, but I expected more than a month time to discuss this project or whether it ought to go in that space. But I didn't expect that we were approving that plan the night that we approved the funding. So I'm still not convinced that's the best spot for it. And I'm not sure that, I read the grant application and it said that if anything breaks, the city will pay for it. I didn't know that we had agreed to that either, so I don't know. I support it. I don't want to be a bad guy on this, but I support having those instruments somewhere, but I'd like to have more conversation on if they ought to be in that spot. But I don't know what council expected when they approved the budget request. Any thoughts?
I didn't have a time frame in my head. It is early or quickly. I don't know if that shocked or not shocked me. Are we limited to that specific park for those items located? Based on the grant, so it would have to be in that particular park. So we couldn't apply the grant and say we can put them in another park.
The grant is very specific on that it would go in the pocket park. And that picture is included in there.
Right.
I know we moved the Christmas tree to the library this year, but that was partially out of necessity because we had hills in the old city council building, and we couldn't have Santa visits in there. I'm not sure that space is done as a spot for the mayor's Christmas tree.
Do you have your thoughts on where we should put it? Because I haven't thought about one place or another at all.
I was gonna say, I don't know where else it could go.
There's Gallagher Park and certainly Chieftain Park we'd have to have some coordination with the rec and get some permission with them, of course, but it certainly would be more utilized at Chieftain Park than it would be in the pocket park. But like the grant application says, maybe this is a draw that finally puts the pocket park over the top, in so many words. The grant also is mostly for murals and other kind of public art like that, so I'm not sure what our chances are of getting it. So we could send a letter.
That was a separate conversation about redoing the mural.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
But would that mess up, if we got this grant, would that mess up a grant to fix the mural? Or we already agreed to fix that?
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it.
I don't know. It's up to you all. Those are my reservations, I guess.
Well, I would like to see that park get used. I mean, it is, we went to an effort to make that park something for downtown, and, and it is a nice little addition. It's nice to see when events occur up and down Fourth Street that people actually get in there and use it. Not much, because there's not much in there, but, maybe this would be a way to accelerate that a little bit.
We used it a lot during Tongi days. We put like giant yard games in there, and there were always tons of people in there playing those games, so.
Mayor, if I could just add, we did recently add some equipment, the bicycle repair stations. So they're located they're, I guess, closer to the actual intersection, but they are technically within the pocket park itself. The only other piece of equipment we have there is a water fountain bottle refill station. I think it has a dog bowl at the bottom as well. So those items are also located in the park, along with the tables that were described in the grant application.
I don't want to play a dirty pool, but, so if we put them in there and it's not successful, a year and a half, 2 years from now, we just move them?
I believe the grant application said it needed to be there for 18 months, or the installation needed to be there for 18 months. So I guess that,
Yeah, if it didn't work out,
we can move them.
because I think that anybody would want those to be utilized, not just sit there and
Right.
collect dust.
Right.
In our attempt to improve the park and make it more visitor friendly for whomever.
Yeah. I guess we could try it and see if it works.
And we may not get the grant anyways.
Yeah, there's always that. So, okay. Any, is there a motion on this item?
I'll move to approve the letter of support for the downtown pocket park grant application prepared by the Tonganoxie Arts Council.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item D, consider approval of temporary alcohol permit for an on-premise event hosted by Baser Linwood High School after prom committee on March 17, 2023, located at 405 West 4th Street. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is, as you might recall, is a fairly rare type of permit, but we're on record now having two this year in 2023 through only a couple months of the year. So we're happy to present this information to you for your consideration. The Baser Linwood High School after prom group has wished to rent the fairgrounds facility, the same facility that was the subject of the last temporary alcohol permit, on March 17th of this year for an additional fundraiser. After the mouse race that happened last time, this one is a musical bingo game, we understand. So some varied programming going on, but we did share the application materials with the police chief and received no comments of concerns back from him. We do also want to point out that in the space of just a couple short weeks, Jamie Burke in our office at City Hall did an outstanding job creating a very professional form. It concisely gets to the points we need for this license and isn't used for another purpose like we had to sort of ad hoc do last time. So we'd like to give her kudos for that effort. She also concerned members of the Fair Board, members of the applicant team, because they saw the new form and were like, hey, wait a minute, the city didn't make me go through this last time, and that was weeks ago. So kudos to Jamie for taking initiative on that and doing a great job. And we're happy to recommend this for your approval without reservations.
Okay, any questions, council?
I'm glad to see our neighbors to the easter coming to Tonganoxie.
Yeah, right?
That's great.
Keep coming and spend their money here. And we
Yeah.
hope that-
Remind me, who was I know it was someone in Baser, but what was the group for the I want to say rat race, the mouse race?
I can't remember the name.
Project graduation.
It was Project.
Project Grad, yeah.
And
that's-
there were,
sounds right.
that went well from all accounts, in terms of just, from no problems.
No problems.
Okay. No mice were harmed?
I can't speak
Okay.
on that, but no problems were reported to the Tonganoxie Police Department.
Understood.
Thank you, Baser.
Any questions?
I would make the motion that we approve a temporary alcohol permit for on-premises event hosted by Baser Linwood High School after prom on March 17th, 2023 at 405 West 4th Street, Tonganoxie.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item E, City Manager Agenda. Do you have a water tower update for us?
Yes, Mayor, sorry, I apologize. I actually have two items here, and we didn't list either. But the first is a water tower update. You'll probably recall at the last meeting, we had Caldwell Tank, who's the contractor that we entered into an agreement on to actually build the elevated water tower at the business park. They were asking for an extension for both the substantial completion date as well as the final completion date. And as a reminder, the substantial completion date, which comes earlier, is when we can actually get the water tower online and use it. And so what they were asking for at that time, they sent a letter that's consistent with the contractual obligations saying, we want 110 day, we're requesting 110 day delay, which would, if granted, then we would excuse the $1,000 per day liquidated damages that they went beyond the original delivery dates, which were the end of May. They referenced the letter, in addition to the 110 days, cited that they would be complete in early July. The letter then had a Gantt chart attached, which indicated July 12th. And so we have sent communication back to them saying, well, 110 days doesn't equate to any time frame in July. That's more like 86, 85 days. So we need you to verify that you're saying you'll be substantially complete by July 12th. We have not heard back from them. I didn't make an introduction earlier, but Rich Cook is here tonight. He's with Stinson. He's here in Anna's absence. And we've had Anna review it and some of her colleagues that are in, do contracts more frequently to see what we're obligated to do with Caldwell, if anything. And so I'll kind of stay there first. Technically, in the agreement, and I don't want to get into a ton of details because we're not asking for any action tonight, but you can grant Caldwell what they're asking for. But technically, within the contract, what they're citing as delays previously, we don't have to grant them any relief. But in the spirit of cooperation and trying to get the project done, we're looking at some options to consider. But we've also incurred quite a bit of additional legal expense because not only do we have to review the contract with Caldwell, we have performance requirements with Hills in terms of when that piece of infrastructure would be delivered. We've been in communication with Hills, but it's going to require an amendment to the development agreement because we'll be making some change from the May date that's outlined in that agreement. Additionally, we've had other expenses because with the EDA being involved in a grant, there's at a minimum one or two forms that need to be submitted that there's a change in the expected delivery of the infrastructure. I don't think we're going to be in jeopardy of losing that grant because it's got much wider parameters for completion that deal in years, not months. But there's time and expense to review that and then have some additional submittals to the EDA. So having said all that, we are under no obligation to meet this 30-day review, or we've already met that based on the communication. Our next 30 days doesn't start until Caldwell actually communicates back to us and clarifies the date they're looking for. Our hope is that they stay firm on the July 12th because that's what we've communicated in our initial discussion with Hills. But we'll wait to see what they come back with. So that would hopefully put us in a position then to have a discussion at the city council level on March 20th about what options there are and what do we want to do moving forward. So I apologize for not having that as a agenda item, but I'd be happy to answer any other questions. I know it's kind of a complicated issue, but we're in good legal standing if that's one of the questions you have.
Anybody have any questions?
What is a mission critical date for Hills? And where we can be in a position to really be in danger with Hills because we're not providing what we thought we could and they're not able to operate.
No, good question, Chris. We're in a okay spot. You folks were forward thinking when you approved letting us do a 12-inch looped water line system that significantly improved our ability to deliver to the site. The water purchases we make from BPU come in at a certain pressure level that would allow us to meet the startup demands and some of the demands for the first two product lines that Hills is expected to put online in the third quarter of this year. However, as those demands increase, we'll put more and more pressure on our water tower at the school campus, and so the quicker we can get this one in place, and then certainly from a fire suppression standpoint, we have demands, but we're more of a redundancy demand because Hills put a lot of that equipment on their own site. But if we can get July, we should be okay.
Okay, that's a good answer. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, because July, school would be out. We wouldn't have pressures out there that we need on
Exactly.
the system.
Yep.
Okay. What else anybody else have any questions? What else did you have?
And I have one additional item, and Councilman Donnelly might bring this up, but the Port Authority has started or initiated a land search committee to look for new business park opportunities in the county. And one of the requests that came through the board was to ask each city in the county to assign a person to serve on the land search committee. And so I guess formally I'm saying that that's a request. It's not specified, and Mr. Donnelly's the chair of the Port Authority Board, so he may have better insight. It's not specified to whether it's an elected official or staff. I know you folks have day jobs and other things to do, and staff would be happy to be the representative or appointee to the board. And I'm not even sure you have to take a formal action or vote. It could be a simple motion just to say, have somebody from staff cover. And
The purpose of the committee is to, in both municipally owned parks in the city, in Leavenworth County, which is Leavenworth and ours, we're getting close to using up all the land. And it takes years to make a industrial park become a reality. And when I mean years, I mean 2 decades is not uncommon. So you start a process, and one of the things at the Port Authority level is to be the lead in industrial parks within the county and try not to compete with private industrial parks. There's just not a lot of them. So what we've asked is, it's time to start looking, knowing that it would take years and years to get it done. So if you don't ever start, you can never get there. And it's important that every member or every municipality and the county within Leavenworth County have a seat at the table. And then also it includes a Port Authority who is appointed to people who are involved in economic development as co-chairs, and then LCDC to be involved too. So I was involved in it in 1997 when I wrote the first letter to Miss Irick for the industrial park. And we can appoint anybody, but you know, it's, as George said, it's during the day and most of the time And they probably won't meet a lot, but they'll start to set criteria. What are we looking for? How much land, what type of land, what's it need to be close to? In Chris's personal opinion, Tonganoxie needs to have a seat at the table. We see what the benefit is, and we were the first in this county to step up and get our own. And it's taken a while, but it's paid off. So anyways, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I think George or Dan or whoever would be a great representative, or if you have somebody, local business person who has a vested interest in seeing Tonganoxie grow and focus on benefiting Tonganoxie. I mean, the purpose is to, what's Tonganoxie want to see? Bring our voice to that group in looking for this piece of property.
I'm okay with staff doing it. Are you?
Oh, very comfortable, absolutely.
You guys?
Oh, yeah.
All right, can we make a motion? Can it just be staff, or does it need to name city manager?
I think staff would give us the flexibility to cover in case there's conflicts, and then Dan and I can draw straws later.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I would make that motion, or I guess, can I? Could I make that motion, being the chairman of the committee of the Port Authority?
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with that.
I'd make that motion.
Okay. Motion on the table to have staff become a member of the
That Port Authority Land Search Committee for Industrial Park.
Okay, got it. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Chris, for explaining that. The city attorney agenda. Nothing? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem agenda, city council agenda. Does anybody have anything more?
No.
And we're going to skip the executive session tonight, correct? All right, and I don't have anything else, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
He's not here.
I know.
We have to stay until he shows up.
What do we do?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.